In 1938, C.S. Lewis published a novel called Out of the Silent Planet. But before the reader even turns to Chapter 1, a note on the dust jacket offers a specific warning. Lewis explicitly distances his work from the era's dominant sci-fi architect, H.G. Wells. Instead of leading with a bold, hyper-competent scientist ready to conquer the cosmos, Lewis promises a protagonist who is ill-informed, entirely ordinary, and frankly terrified. By starting with a victim instead of the hero, Lewis signals that this won't be a voyage of discovery. It's a setup where the protagonist's choices matter far less than the circumstances he's about to be forced into. The target of this cosmic abduction is Dr. Elwyn Ransom. He's a philologist, a scholar of languages, and a fellow at a Cambridge college. We meet him in the middle of a miserable walking tour. He's just been turned away from an empty rural hotel and is trudging through a dark, rain-soaked English countryside toward a town called Stirk, a grueling 6 miles away. Ransom is drawn to these long walks because they offer complete detachment. He relishes the fact that he doesn't have to consult anyone, consider anyone, or follow any schedule but his own. That absolute freedom is exactly what makes him vulnerable. With no daily check-ins and a fiercely guarded solitude, he is entirely untraceable. Ransom's quiet, isolated march is abruptly broken when a woman darts out of a small, ugly brick cottage and nearly collides with him in the dark. She is frantic. Her simple-minded son, Harry, hasn't come home from his job tending the furnace at a nearby secluded estate known as the Rise. The locals know very little about the current tenants of the Rise, other than it houses a mysterious professor and a gentleman from London. Ransom decides to investigate, driven by a reluctant sense of upper-class duty to help the woman, but also by the quiet, selfish hope that these fellow academics might offer him a bed for the night. Lewis uses these deeply ordinary impulses against his protagonist. Exhaustion and a basic sense of social obligation become the exact levers that push Ransom off the safe public road and into the trap. Getting onto the property requires physical trespass. Ransom tosses his heavy pack over a locked white gate, crawling painfully on his hands and knees through a barrier of wet thorns and nettles. From the front, the dark stone house looks dead, marked only by a heavy column of factory-like smoke. But as Ransom rounds the back, the silence shatters into the sounds of a violent, struggling scuffle. He stumbles upon 3 figures in the dark. A massive, loud-voiced physicist named Weston and his slender companion, Dick Devine, are forcibly dragging the blubbering boy, Harry, toward a dome-like outhouse. Ransom interrupts, and the tension briefly spikes until Devine recognizes Ransom as an old schoolmate. Instantly, Devine drops the hostility and slips into a mask of exaggerated, phony boarding school warmth. The sudden appearance of a familiar face disarms Ransom. His deeply ingrained social conditioning takes over, tricking him into treating an active kidnapping scene like a casual, albeit awkward, class reunion. Devine ushers Ransom inside to rest, leading him into a room that is a bizarre collision of extreme wealth and utter squalor. Costly armchairs sit among scattered packing cases, empty champagne bottles, and half-eaten tins of sardines. As they settle in, Devine casually probes into the logistics of Ransom's walking tour, asking if he expects a telegram or has left a forwarding address. Out of sheer pride in his own independence, Ransom makes a fatal admission. He confirms that he has no immediate family, his college is out for the summer, and absolutely no one knows where he is. With the confirmation that Ransom won't be missed, Devine springs the trap. He pretends the siphon is empty, steps into the scullery, and returns with a heavy, drugged drink. The effects hit Ransom almost immediately. Devine's voice becomes distant and tiny. Ransom realizes he has lost all control over his body, locked in his chair as if gripped by a perfectly padded, immovable vice. Before blacking out, he slips into a surreal dream state. He imagines himself, Devine, and Weston failing to climb a dark wall, only for the 2 men to disappear and return leading a group of utterly alien creatures. The promise of the dust jacket is fulfilled.
By weaponizing a mundane holiday and basic human decency, Lewis has successfully dragged his subverted, helpless hero completely against his will into the cosmic unknown.